The boyfriend I'd been with for 7 years was marrying my Skylar, and everyone knew. Everyone except me. Even my parents kept it secret, terrified I'd crash Skylar's wedding and make a scene. Yet I stayed icily calm and married another man. They all thought I'd snapped, who though had really made the better choice. When the overtime shift ended, only the drone of laptops and a few lonely lights remained in the office. I sank into my chair, exhausted, and tapped open Instagram. Congrats, Skylar. Wishing you a lifetime of happiness. The post arrived with a scarlet engraved invitation. I frowned, opened the image, and zoomed in. Skylar, Chase cordially invite you. 6 words like a lightning bolt to the chest. The cold glare of the screen stabbed my eyes. I read it 3 times before I believed it. My boyfriend of 7 years, Chase, and my half-sister, Skylar. My fingertips trembled. Mocking laughter seemed to echo in my ears, and tears sprang up without warning. Scenes flashed, Chase's gentle smiles, Skylar's sweet obedience, the seamless calm my parents always maintained, and every memory warped, losing its meaning. Rage eclipsed shock and sorrow. I grabbed my coat, shoved the chair back, and strode out. The night wind slapped me, but heat surged hotter inside. I clenched my fists, one thought roaring. I'm going to that wedding to demand answers. Outside the Grand, flowers flanked the entrance and red double happiness banners fluttered. Ugly jokes to my eyes. The winter air knifed through my coat, yet I felt nothing. Past the crowd on the stage stood Chase and Skylar. Chase wore a flawlessly cut black tux, beaming with joy I hadn't seen in ages. Skylar floated in a white wedding gown, a crystal tiara sparkling atop her head, smiling sweetly, innocently, telling the world this was her moment. My fingers stiffened around my purse strap. As I stepped forward, a familiar silhouette caught my eye, Mother. She sat in the front row, proud satisfaction on her face. The ceremony was clearly no surprise to her. Anger flared. I pushed through the guests. Whispers trailed me. That's Skylar's Serena, isn't it? What's she doing here? What are you doing here? Mother's voice sliced over the music and applause. She rushed up, seized my wrist, and yanked so hard it hurt. Come with me, don't disgrace us, she hissed, dragging me toward the exit. I planted my feet and wrenched free. Disgrace? I'm the one who deserves an explanation. Why am I the last to know my boyfriend is marrying my Skylar? A flicker of panic crossed her face, then hardened. You know Skylar has clinical depression. She can't handle stress. This wedding is to make me happy. Indulge me, don't turn it into a scandal. You know Richard dotes on me. When I'm content, the family stays peaceful. Her words felt like a dull blade, slow slicing my heart. I let out a scornful laugh, eyes blazing. And me, your real daughter? To please some man, you'd destroy me? Before I finished, Skylar and Chase noticed the commotion and walked over. Skylar still wore that innocent sweetness. Chase's smile looked ready to crack. Serena, don't be angry, Skylar began, voice fragile enough to shatter. I know this is sudden, but I just wanted a wedding. I've envied you since we were kids. You had everything. Serena, can't you let me have this one bit of happiness? I gave a cold laugh and locked my glare on Chase. And you? Is this a performance or a public humiliation? Chase's expression twisted, he sighed. It's only Skylar's wish. We haven't filed the paperwork. I just want her happy. Her mental state is fragile, you know that. So a fragile mind entitles her to steal someone's boyfriend? I didn't raise my voice, yet every syllable cut. I turned to Skylar. You wanted a wedding. Fine. But not even a text to me. What does that mean? Hurt pooled in Skylar's eyes, but she said nothing, ever the picture of forbearance. Then Chase's tone shifted. He stepped closer and murmured, Stop this. It won't end well for you. Your indie game is at a critical pitch, and I'm your biggest investor. Keep this up, and I'll have to pull the round. I stared, feeling I'd never known him. Chase, are you threatening me? Without changing expression, he added, If you stay quiet till the ceremony's over, I'll talk to Skylar and we can get engaged right after. I'm only granting her a small dream. Don't wreck everything. Skylar tugged his sleeve and cooed. Serena, don't be mad, we really are doing this for your own good. Morgan leaned in, breath brushing my ear. Your game design is brilliant. I'm sure you'll indulge me, like always, Mom, Dad. Even your boyfriend seemed to be on my side after all. Oh, and your boyfriend's company is bankrolling the whole project for me. Rest assured, Serena. That was the moment I understood. Since childhood, she'd swiped my prize essays, my pretty dresses, my toys, and my parents' love, and now my boyfriend. Because of her clinical depression, everyone told me to give way. Fine, take everything else, but not this game. It holds every drop of my heart. For my own good. My laugh was frigid. Disappointment and rage crested. I snatched a champagne flute and the tablecloth beside me and yanked. Plates and glasses crashed, crystal shattering across the floor, the sharp explosion snatching every gaze in the hall. You plotted against me, threatened me, and still have the gall to say it's all for my own good? You're disgusting. I swept a cold gaze over Eleanor, Skylar, and Chase, turned on my heel, and walked out of the vase, leaving a stunned silence behind me. Outside, I unlocked my phone. Predictably, headlines like "Genius Designer Skylar with New Masterpiece" overwhelmed every feed. I stared at the familiar layouts, the familiar concept art. Fury shook me from head to toe. The winter wind bit to the bone as I half-staggered clear of the vase. My palms were still trembling, my ears ringing with the sneers I'd overheard. It felt as though my world had imploded in an instant. Rage, grief, and humiliation twisted together into a knot that crushed my chest and blocked every breath. Suddenly the ground lurched. I tottered, the street blurring, and collapsed in front of a car, consciousness snuffed out. When I came to, a white ceiling filled my vision, and the antiseptic tang of St. Camillus Hospital stung my nose. I shifted my head and discovered an 4-line planted in my arm. "You're awake!" A deep male voice drifted over from the sofa beside the bed. I turned. A tall, broad-shouldered man was sitting there, features carved, eyes calm yet razor-sharp, an effortless aura of power cloaking him. Recognition flashed. Dominic, the rumored crown of Riverdale. "It's you!" My voice came out hoarse, packed with disbelief. "Why are you here?" Dominic rose and stepped closer, studying my bloodless face. "You blacked out in front of my car. I brought you to St. Camillus. Cameron Dominic sent me here." "Thanks. I'll wire you the charges later." He didn't answer. He just kept looking at me with those bottomless eyes. When the hush grew unbearable, I started to say, "If you're busy, you can. There's something else." He paused, gaze sharpening. "The wedding of your boyfriend, and your Skylar is making quite the splash." My complexion drained. "What are you getting at? You think you can keep something like that quiet?" His tone stayed mild, yet every word needled raw flesh. "I don't care about them, but I'm interested in you. Conveniently, I need a wife at the moment, and you're perfect." "Excuse me?" I gaped, unable to process. "Don't misunderstand." Dominic's lips curved, his hands slid into his trouser pockets. "My family is relentless about marriage. I require a nominal wife. You require capital. Your new indie game is nearly finished, yet minus Chase's seed funding you'll stall. What exactly do you want?" Alarm sharpened my voice. "You're not this generous. It's simple commerce." His composure never wavered. "You're done wrestling with Chase. I need a paper wife. We each get what we want. I won't meddle in your private life. In return, I'll bankroll your game, today and tomorrow. And since I assume you'd love to make your ex and your stepsister squirm, I can grease those wheels too." I froze, conscience clawing at logic. I knew Chase would pull the round. This project is my lifeblood. Without backing, it will die in the womb. And I refused to let Skylar and Chase turn the page unscathed. Dominic's money and network could be the perfect weapon. "But marry Dominic? I know nothing about him." "I need time to think," I murmured. "You have 24 hours. He leaned in, voice low and cool. "Still, I'm confident you'll choose what benefits you most." That night I stared at my pitch deck, my baby, every word forged by me. "I've already lost once to Skylar. I won't retreat again." One day later, decision made, I signed the prenup and agreed to wed Dominic. My retreat had burned. Perhaps because I'd vanished, Chase texted. "Stop being childish. Come back to me." Arrogance dripped from every character. I didn't answer. I simply locked the screen and gave the glowing panel a frigid glance. I questioned my own eyesight. How had I stayed with this man for 7 years? Soon a new message arrived, sharper. "Don't imagine you can walk away. You know how I get. Keep this up and I'll pull the round." I sneered, typed fine, fired it off, then erased every trace of Chase from my contacts. Freedom flooded me. Chase would never again occupy a corner of my life. 3 days later, the sun blazed. I stepped out of a meeting, and my phone erupted, notifications piling atop one another. Baffled, I opened Instagram. A pinned post blared at me. "Happy wedding day, Mrs. Vostot." Just that line, yet it detonated like dynamite. Below it, a scarlet marriage certificate. Photo of 2 people side by side, handsome groom, composed bride. Dominic and me. My mind rang like a struck bell. Fingers trembling, I tapped open the comments. Pandemonium. Am I seeing things? Crown is married. For real? Who is she? I've never heard a whisper. What's her background? Dominic himself posted the license? Riverdale just imploded. Hundreds of comments still climbing. I even spotted a few familiar handles. Wasn't she Chase's girlfriend? How'd she become Dominic's wife overnight? My fist tightened around the phone, heart a tangle of flavors. I understood. Dominic hadn't shared that post for joy. He was broadcasting to the world. I am now his legal wife, and no one may wield my past against me. Yet the ripple dwarfed my imagination. Meanwhile at him, Skylar doom scrolled. When that image hit her screen, the blood drained from her face. The phone slipped and thudded to the rug. She scooped it up again, eyes bulging at the crimson document. Impossible. How could she marry Dominic? What? Chase, standing nearby, frowned at the words, leaned over to glance at the screen, and his face changed in an instant. Dominic's name was nothing short of a detonation in his ears. Everyone in Riverdale knew Dominic was untouchable, and now his ex-girlfriend had become that man's wife. He dialed my number at once, but only heard the impersonal recording. Sorry, the number you have dialed has been blocked. Chase froze, fingers tightening around the phone until they trembled. He had never imagined she would sever every tie so completely, let alone wind up at Dominic's side. After I powered the phone off, I leaned back in the chair and closed my eyes. I knew the Instagram post had drawn a bright, uncrossable line between Chase and me. I also knew what it would unleash, a storm of speculation and gossip. But I no longer cared. Whatever people thought, I understood this was a transaction, and the starting point of my new life. Those who had hurt me would pay. Dominic had always acted with lightning resolve, and he kept his word. After listening to the entire story, he immediately drafted a meticulous plan. Leveraging his industry web and resources, he assembled an elite unit, seasoned attorneys, technical forensics, and a crack PR squad, to back me on every front. Your original design files matter, he said, but we need stronger proof, specific, traceable evidence of the plagiarism. His tone was calm, absolute. He had investigators comb Skylar's company servers and unearth an erased backup. The very cache Chase had copied from my laptop, timestamps and data lineage intact. At the same time, subpoenas pulled the contest judge's records, exposing chronological gaps in Skylar's submission that her story couldn't bridge. Dominic even located Chase's former assistant, fired months earlier and nursing a grudge. He offered insider testimony, how the theft was executed, how timestamps had been doctored, every detail of the con. Evidence alone won't win the crowd, Dominic warned. He ceded my design concept to respected gaming outlets and key influencers, priming the public to recognize my work. Meanwhile, his PR team scripted a narrative for the launch gala. Spotlight Skylar's plagiarism, keep my private grievances off stage, and let the facts rally opinion. Relax, he said, handing me the full run of show, proposed questions, polished answers, every curveball already mapped. Reading the dossier, I felt a turbulence of emotions. 3 days from now, I'll host the Voss's annual gala under the Voss name, he told me. That night, you'll take the stage you choose. From the instant he learned the truth, Dominic moved, decisively, relentlessly, on my behalf. I had thought his promise casual. Instead, he orchestrated every safeguard, down to the finest worry I carried. A veteran crisis team stood ready, so even if Skylar and Chase counterattacked, the headlines couldn't turn on me. Gratitude, thick and complicated, surged beneath my anger. Dominic, I murmured, watching the man flip through documents, long fingers turning pages as though the future were already folded in his palm. The night was silent, the air laced with chilled green. I pulled a coat around my shoulders and stepped onto the balcony, needing to steady the turbulence inside. The gala was 3 days away, battleground time. Dominic appeared unnoticed, dressed in relaxed loungewear that still looked aristocratic. He carried a mug of warm milk and offered it to me. Drink, it helps if you can't sleep. I took it and whispered, Cameron. A moment passed before I spoke again. Tell me, will I really win tomorrow? I'm terrified, but I want them punished. If I fail, my voice cracked, the mug trembled in my grip. He stood beside me, gaze steady, infinitely calm. He waited until my breathing leveled, then said quietly, being nervous is normal, but you're not fighting alone. The evidence already testifies to your talent, and the truth. You only need to present it. He shifted a fraction closer, voice firm. From this moment, I'm behind you. Whatever they say or do, keep walking. Don't look back, I'll catch every bullet. There was no melodrama in his words, only bedrock certainty. I glanced at him, and his silhouette seemed taller than ever. Go to war, he murmured, a faint smile lifting the corner of his mouth. Not just for yourself, but for every creator who's been robbed of credit. Write their ending. His declaration struck like a gong, scattering the fog of dread. Cameron, you. I breathed, eyes kindling with renewed resolve. Dominic merely patted my shoulder, then returned inside, leaving me on the balcony, fingers curled around cooling milk, feeling, for the first time in ages, utterly grounded and absolutely sure. Dominic had chosen a venue that mattered, his own annual banquet, filling the hall with gaming luminaries and national press. Crystal chandeliers showered light over opulence. Conversations sparkled like the champagne flutes in every hand. I entered at Dominic's side, wearing clean-lined elegance, and every gaze pivoted toward us. "Serena, you came?" A cloyingly familiar voice drifted over. Skylar glided forward, champagne flute poised, innocent smile painted on, Chase in tow. Since I'd deleted Chase from every feed, the two had stopped pretending. "This is Dominic's event," I answered coolly. "Why wouldn't I be here?" Skylar sighed with theatrical regret. "I know you're still angry, but we're sisters." "I was wrong. Can't you forgive me?" "My depression, it's flaring again." Her voice wasn't loud, yet it drew the attention of half the room. Guests turned, eyes flicking between us as if they'd settled in for the next act. "Clinical depression." I arched a brow, a slow smirk tugging at my lips. "So stealing my designs, swiping my milestones, and weaving lie after lie can all be hand-waved with the magic word depression?" Skylar's face froze, but in a heartbeat her eyes were glassy and red, the picture of pitiful. "Serena, I never took anything from you. I just borrowed a few ideas. And anyway, it's not like you suffered any real damage." A few onlookers softened, murmuring, "She's clinically depressed, right? This Serena's being kind of ruthless." Chase watched Skylar sway on her heels, heartbreak all over his face. He barked at me. "Serena, when will you stop? You're sisters. Does it matter which of you gets the spotlight?" A cold laugh rang in my head. I'd grown used to Skylar's fragile act costume and Chase's revolting brand of chivalry. But tonight the curtain was coming down. Instead of sparring, I pivoted. "I hear your new launch gala was quite the hit. Did you come tonight to toast its success?" Skylar blinked, then offered a demure smile. "Yes, this project poured so much of me into it. I even wove personal experiences into the code. Flawless performance." I gave a soft chuckle. "Then let's clarify things right here, right now." I straightened, caught Dominic's eye, and tipped my chin. Reading the cue, Dominic strode to the center of the hall. Welcoming everyone as host, he lifted a champagne flute, toasted, and smoothly tossed the spotlight my way. "Tonight, beyond thanking you all for coming, I want to salute a brilliant indie designer whose work I've long admired, Skylar's own sister, Serena." The compliment landed like a velvet glove hiding brass knuckles. Every gaze snapped to the two of us. Skylar sensed the trap and rushed to drown it in honey. "Dominic is too kind. Serena has always been my role model. My little wins are nothing compared to her." Dominic's smile was almost gentle, as though her panic were a mosquito whine. "Pity your homework's so sloppy. The plagiarism techniques, in particular, are crudely executed." Gasps fluttered through the crowd. Skylar's smile jammed. She hadn't expected him to say it aloud. Dominic pressed on. "Since it's original, you must know your game's core inside out. Why not share? Tell us what inspired that flagship-level design, for instance." I stepped in, voice chilled. "Funny. That fragment looks a lot like a rough draft I shelved months ago. Inspiration or outright theft?" A ripple of shock widened into a roar. Skylar's cheeks drained, but she clung to the script. "Serena, what are you implying? Are you bitter because I made it first?" Dominic moved closer, calm as still water. "Bitterness? Let evidence speak." He flicked 2 fingers. On the ballroom screen bloomed my source files. Time-stamped drafts bristling with code snippets, architecture diagrams, design notes. The overlap with Skylar's original release was pixel perfect. The room erupted. Skylar's lips trembled. No, it's a coincidence." "Coincidence?" Dominic's laugh was ice-cracking. "Then how do you explain the server logs?" The display cut to a forensic report. Her unauthorized pull of my laptop directory, routed through Chase's machine, timed and geotagged. Panic shattered her poise. It was Chase. He told me to. He said this would finally eclipse Serena's hype. I only followed his advice." Chase stared, disbelief widening his eyes. Disgust rolled through the guests like a toxic fog. Dominic regarded Skylar with cool pity. "Play at being an angel only if you own the wings. Your so-called talent is mortared with someone else's blood and sweat. The mask is off, the stage lights are dead." Skylar's mouth worked, but no sound came. Whispers turned to open contempt. A few photographers snapped, hungry for the fall. Tears streaked her foundation as she spun toward our parents. Mom, Dad, please believe me. Eleanor and Richard stood silent, faces gray, already calculating the cost of a disgraced daughter. Chase opened his mouth. Dominic cut him off without a glance. Vanish while you still can. You're no longer qualified to breathe the same air as Serena. Chase's shoulders sagged. He turned and fled, swallowed by the corridor's shadows. The banquet dissolved into chaos, but the reckoning had only begun. Dominic's crisis team pushed the evidence live on every platform before midnight. By dawn, Skylar and Chase were trending for all the wrong reasons. I paused at the ballroom doors. Dominic rested a steady hand on my shoulder. Come on. We've played our hand. Let time finish the job. I looked up, gratitude flooding me. Cameron, Dominic. Without you, the win would have cost me everything. He answered with a faint smile, lacing his fingers through mine as we walked into the chill pre-dawn air. The next morning, every major gaming outlet ran the story in screaming headlines. Plagiarism, betrayal, and the CEO who let it happen. Chase, listed as company chief, couldn't dodge liability. Within days, industry veterans formed a rare united front, issuing statements. We will not collaborate with Chase or Skylar, now or ever. Partners pulled out, seed funding vaporized, and the share price nosedived 70% in a week. The board, cornered by investors, voted Chase out and changed the locks. Skylar, battered by the same storm, wasted no time sacrificing her co-conspirator. She went on camera blaming Chase, insisting she'd merely been persuaded, desperate to sever the toxic tag now welded to her name. He told me to do it. He said as long as we played it this way, we could crush her and become the top design team in the city. During a media interview, Skylar didn't hesitate to sling mud, even hinting that Chase had emotionally manipulated her. Those words enraged Chase completely. Whatever star-crossed lovers, aura they'd shared shattered, and the two burned their bridge for good. After Skylar's fake clinical depression and serial plagiarism were exposed, netizens dug deeper and discovered she hadn't only stolen designs. She'd repeatedly abused her position to smother smaller competitors. Teams she'd once crushed began speaking out, unveiling her shameless track record. Success you win through plagiarism and intimidation is nothing but a sandcastle. Sooner or later the tide will wash it away. That was the verdict the online crowd handed her. A clip of her once smug interview went viral, overlaid with mocking bullet comments. Once high and mighty, now a laughingstock. The fallout surrounding Chase and Skylar didn't only clear my name. It also focused unprecedented attention on original indie games. People began to reassess the value of independent designers, and anticipation for my project surged. I poured my own design philosophy into the new title. When it launched, it exploded onto the charts, breaking sales records and becoming an industry phenomenon. Players flooded the forums. At last, an indie game with real depth. Throughout this stretch, Dominic backed me on every front, assembling a world-class dev team and smoothing every distribution channel. I didn't waste his faith. One hit followed another, and I soon stood at the very pinnacle of the field. Those who had sneered now looked at me with new respect, while victims who'd believed Skylar's act offered apologies and sympathy. One afternoon, Dominic and I relaxed in the small garden outside the office. Watching the sunset, I turned to him. Why did you help me? He was quiet for a moment, his gaze soft. I saw you in college. You were confident, brilliant, light in your eyes. Just standing there, you drew every ounce of attention. I thought you'd keep rising, but then I heard you'd handed every opportunity to your boyfriend and Skylar, fading behind their spotlight. It felt like such a waste. He chuckled low. I wanted to see what would happen if you got another chance. I stared, stunned that his motive had been so simple. Then he lifted his gaze to mine, utterly earnest. Later, I realized I was falling for you. So let me ask, would you consider staying with me? I looked into those expectant, gentle eyes, replaying everything he'd done. My heart gave a sudden tug. I didn't answer at once, but I already knew I was learning to lean on this man. Just as my new life was taking off, Chase appeared. He'd somehow found my address, gaunt and haggard, dropping to his knees, voice cracking. I'm sorry, Serena. I was wrong. I only pitied her. How could you just marry someone like that? His plea was soaked in regret, but my heart had long gone cold. The wounds he'd dealt, threats, betrayal, were carved too deep. Chase, did you really think kneeling would fix anything? I smiled faintly. Relax, it's only a marriage certificate. Haven't had the wedding yet. The echo of his own old line froze him mid-breath. Before he could speak, a low voice drifted from the staircase. So I'm still nobody. I turned. Dominic descended slowly, a towel wrapped around his hips, lazily possessive as he slid an arm around my waist. Serena, care to explain? Chase's face drained of color. I didn't spare him another glance. I simply shut the door with a decisive click. I looped my arms around Dominic's neck and laughed softly. How could that be? You're my one and only husband, Dominic. One lazy afternoon, I lay content in Dominic's arms while he fed me strawberries, and a push notification blinked. Skylar was now behind bars. Chase, blaming her for his downfall, had shown up at her place in a rage. Skylar, already unhinged, career gone, reputation shredded, family disowned, snapped during the shouting match, grabbed a knife, and stabbed him. Blood spattered the walls. Chase collapsed, whimpering. Neighbors called 911, and surgeons barely saved his life. Skylar was convicted of attempted murder. The woman who once believed she could script every outcome now wears a prison jumpsuit, the pair of them reduced to late-night punchlines. I stand on the stage of my new game's launch gala while the crowd roars its applause. Cameras flash, fans cheer, but my eyes drift to the man in the corner who never left my side. Dominic meets my gaze with a smile of unshakable trust and pride. Those old scars, those betrayals, they're just footnotes now. I've reclaimed my career, rediscovered my worth, and found someone who chooses to guard every dawn with me. Thank you for listening. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this story? If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and share. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more tales. See you next time.